Pamela Price Unfiltered. I'm Pamela Price, your host. This is the place and the space for real talk about real issues. This is where we take a deep dive into issues that impact real families, real people, and our communities. Every episode will focus on a topic, and we will keep the conversation going in a raw, unfiltered way. We'll bring you community leaders, activists, politicians, educators, and everyday people on the front lines of change. For those tuning in for the first time, I'm Pamela Price. I'm a seasoned civil rights attorney, a longtime political activist and advocate in Alameda County, and a champion for justice. So, welcome to Pamela Price Unfiltered, and let's talk about it. My first guest tonight is the Honorable Sara Prada, who is an educator, and she's here to talk about the impact of Donald Trump's immigration policies. That's the hot topic issue in Alameda County. And Sara is uniquely positioned to talk about those issues. Sara Prada has a clear view of this work at the Hayward Unified School District, where she serves as a trustee. She's also a small business owner of her own photojournalism shop. She also has experience working with numerous community organizations and in education. She's an award-winning community activist and the bilingual mother of 3 school-aged children. She serves as vice president of the Hayward Unified School District currently, where she advocates for educating the whole child. Sara's a writer who has co-written policies for restorative justice, practices, and inclusion, focusing on the over-policing of BIPOC children, ending racist practices, and the impact that it has on the mental health of families and our children, and our scholars and their ability to engage in education. Sara also represents Hayward as the vice president of SELPA, a state program that evaluates major special education issues. Sara, welcome to Pamela Price Unfiltered.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How many students does the Hayward Unified School District serve?
We have a little bit under 17,000 students. We've seen a lot of declining enrollment in the past 10 years. We used to serve, I think when I came on in 2020, we were closer to 20,000.
Why did you start with focusing on Know Your Rights? Why did you think that was important to the community that you serve?
I thought that was important because it empowers the community. To know your rights it gives you a strength. It gives you a way to fight back and protect yourself and to protect others.
So we've seen nationally, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to say nationally, the border czar of the Trump administration, one of the things he's complained about is people knowing their rights. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's just tough. You know, the more that we educate and empower, the more that we can fight against a tyrant, you know. And my duty as a trustee in this district is to protect my students, to protect my families. And so that means standing the line between whatever is out there, you know, and our kids and our students. And so that also means letting them know what their rights are.
Do you think the local rallies and the initiatives that have been started by other elected officials in the county, do you think that's helping this effort that you're making within the Hayward Unified School District?
Yes, definitely. I am seeing the resistance. I'm seeing the progress. We had Mayor Salinas, we had Chief Matthews, all on that training too. So it was a city effort to inform and to let them know, like Chief Matthews stated that HPD will not be assisting any ICE.
And are you all participating in the new ad hoc committee that the county has now established, Supervisor Voss and Supervisor Marquez?
Yes, yes. So we do
Okay.
have committee members who are attending that. Um, right now, we're working on protections for our students who are going on field trips, local field trips and out of state field trips.
Okay.
So right now, there's not really a protocol for that we could just kind of copy and paste. So we're kind of building it as we go. Like we know that they can't enter the school site without a signed warrant. They can't enter a bus. It's just like a school site. They can't enter a school bus without a signed warrant. And so calling ahead to the children's like destination, let's say they're going to the Lawrence Hall of Science or something like that, and requesting their policies on protections against ICE before the kids go.
Right.
um
Mhm.
yeah, and so
That's
we're
wise. Yeah.
still yeah, so we're still, like I said, we're still kind of building as we go, but it's one thing is sure that we have been like strengthening community.
What can parents and students do to protect themselves, to prepare and protect themselves?
Parents and students, first of all, knowing their rights if ever approached
Mhm.
um by ICE. So, especially our students here in Hayward Unified, they have access to the red cards. So,
Mhm.
making sure that they have those red cards that they can have as many as they want to take home to their family members. And then also, like in the training class, signing up for the webinars that we're offering, and like I said, we're having them in multiple languages,
That's very good.
signing up for that, and then also making sure that our families that are targeted by this administration, that they sit down and come up with a family plan and
Mhm.
have this conversation um, with the other members. If something happens, who helps to take care of the kids? Because right now we're also trying to figure out on our side, how can we support families, if a child is left behind. So we're asking our families in these webinars to also do this plan. We're supporting them in writing these plans out. Um, and then, like I said, we're also expanding to make sure that our whole community is empowered to protect each other and themselves.
It sounds like you have a really good network going, but at the basic level, it's going to be important for people to know what exactly does the ICE agent look like. Is there a patch that they should look
Yeah.
for? And you all have identified that and you've clarified that for folks,
The
right?
unfortunately, ICE has been tricky with
Mm.
what they're wearing, and so
Mhm.
asking for a badge and a number, asking for um, uh, the warrant that is signed, like all of these things, because they will wear police vests, they will wear other things, that don't always say ICE, and so. And like you said, there's been other vans circling our city.
How can the broader community help support students and their families?
When it comes down to it, literally being a volunteer to stand the line, you know, I think that's one way. Helping a family make a plan, fill out forms, that's another way. Having those conversations
Mhm.
with your neighbors, with your friends, you know, uh, and on social media, spreading the information on how to protect yourself and how to protect your community, how to protect your kids. Spread that over some of the panic. You know, and just be prepared to fight on all levels. Honestly, because I'll be damned if they take one of my kids. Is how I feel. Like I know that's not like politically correct, but I literally will be damned if they come for my children, at my schools. And I need that same energy from every political leader in my city and in my county. Like that's the energy. They're not coming for our kids. They're not coming for our families. And it's
That's right.
literally our jobs. So,
Thank you. Thank you. The Honorable Sara Prada. That's the call to action, folks. There's the energy that's needed. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience and your energy, and certainly the efforts that you're taking as a model for other districts and folks around the community. Thank you so much for coming on Pamela Price Unfiltered. So let's talk about the legal aspects of what's happening under siege in the Trump era with respect to immigration. We know that the ICE raids are happening all over the country. There's fear and concerns, as expressed by my guest, the Honorable Sara Prada, amongst the immigrant communities. It's affecting young people, their parents, families, having a devastating impact, the fear of the immigrant communities, and policy changes allowing ICE to enter schools and churches. So, how did we get here? Why does that matter in Alameda County? We happen to be one of the most diverse counties in the whole country. We're ranked number 4 in terms of our diversity. And when we talk about immigration and protecting immigrant communities, we're not just talking about Mexicans. In Alameda County, we have one of the largest Afghan communities. So we have immigrants from Afghanistan, from Yemen, from Thailand. We have one of the largest Buddhist Buddhist communities in Alameda County. We're talking about refugees and immigrants from Vietnam, from China, from Honduras, from Guatemala, from Venezuela, from the Philippines, from El Salvador, from Haiti. We're talking about immigrants from African countries like Nigeria and Ghana and Eritrea and Ethiopia and many others. 43% of our children in Alameda County are bilingual and speak a language other than English in their home. 53% of children live in a home where one of their parents is foreign born. Over 30% of our residents in Alameda County were born in another country. And so they've immigrated to this country. In 2016, the Board of Supervisors established the Ad Hoc Committee on Immigrant and Refugee Rights because of the obvious concern from the first Trump administration. And between 2017 and 2021, Alameda County took a concerted, coordinated, aggressive campaign to protect our immigrant communities, to educate our immigrant communities on their rights, and to make sure that we protected our residents from the overreach of the federal enforcement authorities. The ad hoc committee published a report in 2021 highlighting the various efforts and documenting all of the recommendations and the aspects that were undertaken during that time period. Fast forward to 2024, and the first act of the Trump administration on day one, Donald Trump signed the Laken-Riley Act, which is focused on the detention and ultimate deportation of undocumented immigrants in this country. Laken-Riley Act is named for a 22-year-old young woman who was brutally murdered. She was a nursing student in Georgia. Her murder happened in February of 2024, and it became a political football for many people and a way to push the anti-immigrant narrative in this country. And with lightning speed, literally, Congress enacted the Laken-Riley Act. It was one of 6 top priority bills for the Republican Congress. Laken-Riley Act did not pass multiple times, but as soon as Donald Trump was elected, they passed it, and the Republican-held Congress presented it to him, and he signed it on the first day of his administration. So what's the change in the Laken-Riley Act? How does it change the law and the legal landscape, which is what we're dealing with now? There's 2 major changes. One is that it allows states to sue the federal government if they don't like the immigration policy. That possibility of a lawsuit by the states against the feds has previously been ruled unconstitutional, but nonetheless, it's part of the Laken-Riley Act. The other constitutional crisis presented by the Lake and Riley Act is with respect to the ability, the standard of ICE that can use to actually detain someone. Before January 2025, the law allowed the ICE and border agents, Department of Homeland Security agents, to detain someone. They had the discretion to, if they did not want to detain someone, but they could have the discretion to detain immigrants accused of serious crimes such as rape or murder or violent offenses. That was the standard. They have the discretion. The Lake and Riley Act makes it mandatory now that ICE agents and other federal agencies can detain someone who is accused of even a minor crime like shoplifting, nonviolent crimes such as burglary. And it mandates their detention not based on a conviction, but based on an accusation, based on an arrest. And that expands the ability or the numbers of people who are subject to detention in this country dramatically. Let's listen to what border czar, the new border czar, or the current border czar, Tom Homan, has to say about what ICE's policy is now with respect to churches and schools.
Because they forced us to go in the community and find the guy we're looking for.
Let me just make sure that I understand what you're saying, because at first you said that the first targets are those with criminal records, but you are also saying that those who are undocumented in the U.S., also who don't have criminal records, people who are working in their communities, maybe even have spouses who are American citizens, they could be swept up with ICE today as well?
What I'm telling you is when we go find our priority target, which is a criminal alien, if he's with others in the United States illegally, we're going to take enforcement action against him. We're going to enforce the immigration law.
That's Homan's response. He's telling you there's no safe haven. And yet, if you listen to those lawyers who are actually dealing with the consequences and have been in this work, the ACLU's counsel on who is responsible, the Senior Border Policy Counsel, Sara Mehta, she says, this is what she said. This is an extreme and reactive bill that will authorize the largest expansion of mandatory detention we have seen in decades, sweeping in children, dreamers, parents of U.S. citizen children, and other longtime members of their communities who even ICE thinks should not be detained. In Alameda County, based on the recommendations of the ad hoc committee and the activism in the first Trump administration, we had something called the Alameda County Immigrant Legal and Educational Partnership, which was a coalition of 10 different community organizations along with the Alameda County Public Defender's Office and Central Del Legal, which launched a comprehensive response and rapid response to the detention and threatened deportation of immigrant communities. Post-Trump, it fell into a budget deficit and it was not funded. That has now, the hotline that the ACI-LEP has been relaunched and is now being funded by the individual supervisors, most notably Supervisor Marquez. The Alameda County Board of Supervisors also now launched something called Alameda County Together for All. It's another ad hoc committee that will focus on protecting immigrant communities as well as transgender rights, as well as abortion rights in Alameda County. One of the issues that we don't talk about, but people should pay attention to, is where do people go when they are detained? And what are the conditions under which they're being detained? This is a very important issue. In California, we have two primary detention facilities, the Golden State Annex in McFarland, California, and the Mesa Verde Detention Center in Bakersfield. These are private prisons. They are run, owned, and operated by a for-profit corporation, the GEO Group. These are non-union facilities that the GEO Group is running to make a lot of money, okay? In 2023, the GEO Group was fined $100,000 by the United States Department of Labor for health and safety violations at the Golden State Annex. In 2024, complaints have been filed against the GEO Group again because of the way that they have treated the detainees. There was a raid or an assault on April the 15th of 2024, where detainees claimed that they were physically and verbally assaulted and abused by the guards, that they were subjected to pepper spray, and their personal possessions were destroyed. That complaint is still pending. This follows years of sit-ins, protests, and hunger strikes by detainees who maintain that the conditions at these facilities have been inhumane. They've complained about receiving spoiled food. They've complained about the lack of basic necessities such as toilet paper, and when they are subjected to the extreme heat of those facilities, that they have been denied water. One of the detainees described the raid by the guards on April 15, 2024, as if they were going to war. But these folks are unarmed. They are isolated from family and friends, and some of them may or may not be deported. Some of them may, in fact, be entitled to asylum in this country. So those issues have not been adjudicated or determined when people are detained. They're just detained. At both of these prisons, there have been significant issues about the living conditions. And most recently, in 2024, the GEO Group terminated the detainees' right to free legal calls to lawyers as a way of preventing them from being able to talk to the lawyers and to seek legal aid. So those are the things that people should know about how we are managing detainees. That's just a snapshot of the challenges that people face when they are detained and when the government moves in to detain someone. So if you are part of the movement in Alameda County to protect immigrant communities, just know that what we do here matters. Check this out. She called me a crime boss. Can you believe that? This is what a crime boss really looks like.
Obviously, our friend from Chicago couldn't make it. We wish him well.
Pay your taxes, fellas.
What inspired this ridiculous headline was the equally ridiculous claim by one Mario Juarez that I tried to extort $25,000 from him. For those who don't know who Mario Juarez is, Google him. Mario Juarez is a real estate broker whose license was revoked for fraud, and someone that has a long list of angry clients and business partners who allege he swindled them. The truth is that the Alameda County District Attorney's Office was in the process of charging Mario Juarez for passing bad checks at least 5 months before he claims that we had this conversation. On December 9th of 2024, the District Attorney's Office filed its response to Mario's motion to dismiss his charges. And there are 3 declarations in that response that clearly show that Mario Juarez is lying through his teeth. The first is a declaration of Monique Dornenberg, which was filed under penalty of perjury. And she attests to the fact that she received the police report in May of 2023, that she processed it in the ordinary course of business, just like any other non-specialized case, that no one spoke to her. There was no communication with anyone from upper management when she processed the case. And then in January of 2024, she had the complaint processed after she received an email from another deputy. At the same time, in that same response, Deputy District Attorney Matt Foley also provided a declaration under penalty of perjury, where he says that he reviewed the report on Mario Juarez on August 4th of 2023 that he made the decision to charge Mario because he believed that the case could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, that no one spoke to him about his charging decision, and he had never met or even spoken to me before he made that charging decision. Last but not least is a declaration of Inspector Ramon Middleton. DA Inspector Middleton declaration was also filed on December 9th, and his declaration verifies that he was with me the entire time that Mario Juarez claims that he interacted with me, that Inspector Middleton always had me in his sight, and he verified that I never had a conversation with Mario and I was never alone with Mario. Inspector Middleton's declaration also clearly states that he never heard me ask Mario for money or anything else. So there you have it, the facts of the matter that really address the kind of misinformation that was passed out during the time of my administration. So thank you for tuning in to Pamela Price Unfiltered. I hope that this has been informative. I hope that you will check out this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeart, and Google. Thank you and good night.